BJ Brian Jones. Welcome to College Football This Week, presented by Nissan. Hey, Nissan has a great new contest where you have a chance to win a 2017 Nissan Titan in your favorite college team's colors, no doubt. More about that in a bit. First, let's take a look back at last week's action. Some great ball games. Let's start in South Florida. Miami unscathed by Hurricane Matthew, but the football team, the Hurricanes, was not. You know this game always comes down to special teams, and this time it was not Florida State with a wide right or a wide left. It was Miami. After seemingly going to tie the ball game up with a late touchdown, they missed the extra point. Better yet, it was blocked. Let's give Florida State credit. They blocked the extra point, and did they bring the noise all night long, shutting down that Miami running game and then knocking quarterback Brad Kaya's tooth out, a molar. They knocked it out. Yeah, big offensive lineman. He found it and gave it back to him. A painful loss for the Hurricanes. More painful loss to Tennessee. We said, could they tempt fate one more time and get away with it? They headed down to College Station to take on the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies, and it didn't go so well for Tennessee this time. But hey, you got to give them credit. They overcame 6 turnovers up to that point. The defense kept them in the ball game. They go to double overtime, and they lose to the Aggies 45-38. Get off to a good start, Tennessee. They got a big one coming up this week. You'll hear about more on that one in a second. And last but not least, the Houston Cougars. Bye, Felicia, and bye, Houston Cougars. Playoff dreams, they're gone because Navy put it on the Cougars. The Cougars, without their stud linebacker, Stephen Taylor, they gave up 300 yards in rushing to the midshipmen. Not only that, they had 3 turnovers. One was a pick six. You cannot do that on the road. I don't care who you are. Navy too tough on the ground and shutting down Houston when they needed to. A big, huge hit to the Houston Cougars program and their playoff hopes. All right, we've looked back. Now let's look ahead. Some big matchups, none bigger than in Knoxville, Tennessee. Tennessee Volunteers tried to get off the mat and get back on the right side of the ledger. That's a W, folks, versus their arch rivals, Alabama. Alabama has defeated Tennessee 9 straight times. Alabama comes into this ball game. Excellent victory on the road last week in Vietnam, as we Texas folks said, versus Arkansas Razorbacks. They had a dual threat, not only at the quarterback position, and Jalen Hurts, he had a couple touchdowns, threw for almost 80%. And then you have these running backs, Joshua Jacobs. First series of the game, he rolls off for 56. Second series of the game, Damian Harris say, hey, I can see you 1 more yard. He gets a 57-yard run. He goes over 100. Jacobs a little banged up in that ball game, but it's about that Alabama defense. 8 straight games where they have had a non-offensive touchdown. And they had 2 in this one, a pick six and a fumble, scoop, and score. Way to go, Bama D. Tennessee, now they've been having a special season until that visit to College Station. It can become very special again if they take care of the rock. 8 turnovers, are you kidding me? You can't turn over the rock that many times. And 12 penalties. Take care of the rock, play some better defense, and I know that defense is decimated, but you got to find a way to get this victory versus Alabama, and I think they will. I'm going with the Volunteers to upset Alabama. They have to stay in the playoff mix, and I picked them to be in the playoffs, so they got to do that for me. Also coming up on the slate, we've got Ohio State and Wisconsin. Wisconsin was off last week. They needed it after losing there in Ann Arbor to Michigan. Now they're going to take on undefeated Ohio State. Ohio State got out of the gate slow last weekend versus Indiana, but they finally turned it on. You got to look out for this kid, Curtis Samuel. From Brooklyn, New York. Curtis Samuel, really? They play football in Brooklyn? Well, this guy does, and they want to get the ball in his hand in a myriad of ways. They got it to him late, and he started churning out yardage and scores. So look out for Curtis Samuel. And you go back to Wisconsin, coming off that loss at Ann Arbor, as I mentioned. This is a very good football team, tops in the Big Ten in rush yards allowed, but they've got to play better on the offensive side of the ball. Alex Hornibrook, as well as he played versus Michigan State, not so much there versus Michigan. All those big passes he was hitting did hit in that ball game. Only had 9 completions and 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown. Get rid of those turnovers. Corey Clement, the running back, hopefully he's healthy. They're hoping to get a couple guys back on that offensive line as well. That'll go a long way with Wisconsin. Wisconsin knocking off Ohio State. Wait for it. I'm going with that underdog too. Come on, Bucky Badger. Have that place jumping there at Camp Randall. Also, we got Duke in Louisville. Yes, Duke. They have a victory over Army last week, and now they got to take on the baddest man on the planet in Lamar Jackson. Louisville had an off week. after that loss to Clemson there in Clemson's Death Valley. Now, Lamar Jackson, he's 5th in rushing yardage with 14 touchdowns. He's 12th in passing yardage with 14 touchdowns. Can you do the math? 28 touchdowns for the young man. I think he's going to run all over the Dukies. It should not even be close. And last but not least, North Carolina takes on the aforementioned Miami Hurricanes. North Carolina were beat down last week 34-3 by Virginia Tech in a rainstorm. But you know what? No excuses. Tar Heels, they had to play in those conditions as well, and they brought it to you. They had 7 turnovers, did Tech. The Hokies, 7 turnovers, only lost 2 of them, where on the flip side, North Carolina had 4 turnovers they lost, and those were turned into points by the Hokies and Mitch Trubisky, as much as we were singing his praises. 3 straight games, over 400 yards passing. Get this, 58 yards passing, that's it. 131 total yards for the North Carolina offense. The first time under Larry Fedora, their head coach, they did not score a touchdown. They're going to have to really pick up their game, heading down to take on Miami, because Miami's smarting after their first loss of the season to their hated rivals, Florida State. They've got to get their running game churning out as well. Only 68 yards on the ground, which was allowed to Mark Walton and Joseph Yearby. So you want to get that going, and Brad Kaya has to play better. Can't throw picks in the end zone. Huge pick in the end zone when Miami was in control of the ball game, and maybe gets that tooth fixed as well. So Hurricanes, North Carolina, I'm going to go with the Hurricanes. They have an excellent defense, and they will get that bad taste out of their mouth. All right, there you go as we look ahead. But before we go, I got to tell you about the details on this Nissan sweepstakes that I talked about earlier. All you have to do is this. Visit diehardfan.com/sweepstakes. Follow the instructions there to customize a 2017 Nissan Titan. Customize it in your favorite college team's design, and you just might win it. We'll see you right here next week for some more college football this week.